Okay, my research at the Historical Society has concluded. They gave me a couple of printouts with the family history of the salmons. I'm just going to have a look at some of these historic buildings, and then we'll make our way to the, look at this, it's faded what it used to be. Okay. Camp Street, Ballarat Street. As you can see, Courthouse Hotel. Maybe old Robert had an ale there every now and then, although we heard that they didn't mix with these Talbot people. They consider them lowly, magnificent. Could have been a courthouse. People at the market have packing up. So we're coming up to the post office. This would be the postmaster's residence. Okay. And once again, where the memorial stood. What I'd like to do is make my way to the train station and try and imagine where they would have marched to. Camp Street. Fantastic old shady houses here. Look at this one. Wow. Would have been a pub or something. It's got a plaque there. It says Stewart's Residence. I can't read it from here. Stewart's. Look at this fantastic place though. Right. If we come across it, we might walk back. Once again, look at these. Right. We might get to walk past the town hall, the old town hall, which the Salmons were involved with. We know that. Oh, hang on. I would have walked down there for the train station, but the sign says here, oh, Scandinavian Crescent, right? I thought someone might have bent the sign. Look at that, eh? Okay. Okay, well the platform, the train station's up there. My shoes are melting on the ground here. I'm not going to walk all the way up. Although, shit, I can't get through. I reckon I can get through. Fuck that. When I came that other time, I will put links below to my Talbot visits. That's how I know this is the old town hall. And apparently down near where the RSL is where the old fire station used to be, but they've moved, and the new fire station has the pictures of Robert Salmon, his brother Charles Carty, right? Okay. But this is the town hall. Okay. It had been an Oddfellows hall, and the Oddfellows are also Yeah, the Salmons were also involved in the Oddfellows, but more the Masons, right? So, what Leanne said was over here near the RSL, in this section somewhere around here, was the old fire brigade, right? So we may as well just quickly pop by the Salmon Memorial over here in black onyx or something like that. As I said, moved because of the vandals. We'll be real quick, because there's a separate episode on the Salmon Memorial. Here it is here. Here it is. Robert Westrup Salmon, the 1st Victorian contingent, Navpoort. Well, they've got an alternate spelling there, Naunpoort, March 1900, and it's got the sabre with the cocky helmet like I had on in Colesberg, right? Okay, so I'm going to walk back to the car because I don't want to freaking drive to... I don't want to walk up to the station. Tomorrow's going to be hotter. Okay, well, we'll switch off till we get up to the station. Well, unbelievably, the train still stops at Talbot twice a day. This is a private residence now, the old Talbot station, by the looks of it. But somewhere along would have alighted from the train station to a rapturous applause. The band would have struck up God Save the King. And there would have been, that's the old station building there, which is now a private residence. Right? Gorgeous big old peppercorn tree would have been here. What we'll try and do is recreate the route that he would have taken. There would have been people lined up both sides waving little Union Jacks. Here we go, Talbot railway station. Oh. It just seems to be a little building. Yeah. I can't see anyone living in there. Right. There's a little outhouse there. Maybe a waiting room or something. There's a few old... And you see how that is over there. That platform. I reckon that's where the original platforms would have been. Okay. I don't think anyone's living here. Look at this big shady. You can see the Talbot sign there. Okay. Actually, there's maybe we can get over there. there is the sign for and there's the old timetable, right? There's the ticket office. Oh, this is where the platform would have been, right? But there's the old sign. Moving quickly. This is the platform. Walk silently. You can just see it there. Okay. Where they weigh the luggage. Look at that. Okay. There's the old sign. Good shed. Right. And this timetable is 1980. Ticket office. It's all empty in there, full of train stuff. Oh, my car will be like an oven. It's 36 degrees now. Okay, so we'll try and recreate, in all likelihood, the route they would have taken to the unveiling of the memorial. Okay. No shade at all. If you want to park your car here. Okay. Let's go. Then I'm going to head home. Right. Whew. Okay. Okay. I don't know whether he's come from Ballarat or from Melbourne. Band strikes up, God Save the King. He probably walked, maybe he was on a carriage. All along here, people cheering and waving little Union Jacks. Remember, Australia had just become a Commonwealth. We were brand new nations. Most of our occupants were from England or Scotland, Ireland. Where Robert would have gone to fight to protect the empire. All along here, cheering crowds. The school kids would have had the day off. And the parade has is going to take a left up here. I'd say, or they might have gone straight. Yeah, let's say they've gone straight. Makes more sense. They've gone past the town hall, so the councillors would have been standing out saluting, or you know. Alright, we're turning left here past where the memorial is now, and we're coming up to where the memorial was. So there would have been seating around the plinth, dignitaries, guys in top hats, tails, women with parasols and Victorian skirts and dresses, and this would be for dignitaries. Your riffraff wouldn't get this close to the occasion, and that's it there. All right. The ceremony of unveiling the monument was performed by the Honourable E. Barton, Prime Minister of Australia, on Friday last. A platform had been erected for the speakers, and on this was seated, besides Mr. Barton, Mr. Drake, Postmaster General of Australia, the Honourable Charles Captain Salmon, and A.R. Outram's Colonel Tom Price, the Mayor of Talbot, Councillor Wilson, and Mr. H. Davies, Chairman of the Memorial Committee. Apologies for unavoidable absence were received from the Minister of Defence, Mr. McCulloch, Major General Downs. There was a large gathering, people coming from all parts, and a detachment of the K Company of the Victoria Mounted Rifles under Captain J. Nichol, who was with Captain Salmon of Ballarat, Lieutenant Pollard of Maryborough, and Sergeant Major Taylor, was drawn up in line in front of the memorial. The detachment represented the whole district, members coming even from Ballarat to do honour to the memory of their former comrade. The detachment of Maryborough cadets under Lieutenant R. Burns formed one side of the square, and the Bowenvale, Avoca and Talbot fire brigades under Captain Cello of Avoca were on the other side. When all were seated, the Mayor came forward and introduced Mr. H. Davies, Chairman of the Memorial Committee. Mr. Davies addressed the assemblage in reference to the gathering of the occasion. Mr. Davies shortly addressed the assemblage in reference to the occasion of the gathering, remarking that when the news of Captain Salmon's death reached Talbot, it sent a thrill of grief through the district. It has been decided that in some way to commemorate the patriotism which had caused him to proceed to the war, and the handsome monument before them is the result. I would like to introduce the Right Honourable Mr. Edmund Barton, Prime Minister of Federated Australia. Mr. Barton stepped forward. He was received with cheers as the cord holding the flag which draped the monument was pulled and the flag fell. The mounted rifles presented arms while the bugle sounded forth the last post. I have been asked by my dear friend, Dr. Captain Salmon, MLA, to perform the sad office and testimony of our love for his brother, who has lost his life in South Africa, and veneration of his memory. It's with extreme pleasure I am present. Captain Salmon has ended his career at a comparatively early age, having fallen by disease, which was an even greater enemy than the bullets of the Boers. He lost his life in doing his duty and was worthy to be commemorated as those who fell in action. He went away from home to represent Australia as part of the Empire. He laid down his life in discharge of that duty. He was a worthy representative of Australia, for those who knew him in active service on the field of battle had been loud in their praise of him. He was an officer who gained in the performance of his duty nothing but praise from those who observed his doings, whether they stood above him or below him in the scale of rank. This was one of the sacrifices that Australia had laid on the altar of the Empire, and these sacrifices had added to the lustre of Australia as part of that great empire to which he was proud to belong. Sad was death at all times, but the soldier who died in the performance of his duty had greater consolations than most people, because all the surroundings testified to the duty which he was observing when his life was cut off. From all parts of the empire there had come men ready to fight and die for their country. They came from Canada, from Australia, from New Zealand. They fought together under the same sun and camped together on the same chilly veldt, bound together by the crimson thread of kinship. So may I say, in conclusion, the monument was evidence of the respect and esteem in which the late Captain Salmon was held, and hoped, while the deceased officer's deeds would be an example to them, the memory of his affectionate, worthy and conscientious personality would always be a treasure for their lives. The Honourable J.G. Drake of Queensland said the ceremony of honouring a dead soldier was a sad one. The war, as yet unfinished, had gone to show the love of the colonies for the Empire. Men had gone forth and fallen,
and there were others willing to follow, if needs be. Colonel Tom Price stepped up. Unfortunately, too common in the life of a soldier to attend gatherings of this sort, but on the present occasion I feel the ceremony very much, as the late Captain Salmon was a man who had made himself very dear to me. He was a brave man, and one who could be relied upon. This was one of the admirable traits to his character. He was a man after my own heart. Day in and day out, night in, night out, he'd worked hard. Perhaps, had there been another adjutant with him, he would have spared some of that hard work. He did not forget he was a soldier, and he died a soldier's death. At Pretoria, I had been told by Captain Cameron of Tasmania, who was considered by the Boers to be the bravest man in the British Army. That did not seem to bear on the question of Captain Salmon's bravery, but when such a brave man as Captain Cameron called their dead comrade one of the bravest men whom he had known, the value of that testimony would be appreciated. It was easy for the sycophant to say, so-and-so is brave, but the testimony of a brave man was far better.
Maybe afterwards they popped into the courthouse for a cold ale after a hard day's speeches and lectures. And so that concludes our day in Talbot. The Church of England is up there. I went past before, the doors were all closed, nobody was there, so I haven't been able to get in for the bronze plaque that's in the Church of England, but we'll leave that for another day. So I hope you've enjoyed hearing a bit about the Salmons. There's the church there, the bluestone.
Look, the boys went to school in Amherst, at the Church of England school at Amherst. So I know that there are books that were in the maids' quarters that were out the back there. They were there in my time, and in the ceiling of that were school books from the Salmon Kill children that they had from up here at Amherst. And those books are in the library, in the museum. I don't know where they are. I've never bothered to look, but I took them up there 40 years ago. So they ought to be. But it just had Robert Salmon, Philip Salmon, I don't know what it had, but their names of the kids on them, you know. But some of their old books from when. So they went to school up here. I don't know what happened, whether they went to for other schooling in Ballarat or Melbourne, I don't know. That I've often wondered that. You would think that Philip would have gone to school somewhere, whether they went, like Charles Carty went to Scotch, whether the twins went to Scotch, or maybe they went to Church of England, private schools in Ballarat, I don't know. Yeah, and I told you with the titles of this farm, the original titles going back to 1854, there is the power of attorney that Robert wrote for Philip before he left to go to South Africa, and which is very poignant. Every time I mention it, I feel the hairs in the back of my neck. You know, it's in the handwriting of this young bloke, and never to come back again. You know, and it's very. I was saying to Skeet, that's our friend that was here before, I should get that and put it. That will get lost in the end. I should get it framed with a glass, like I have the picture of the house, the plans of the house.
Yeah.
And get it, because it should stay with the house. You know.
Yeah. That'd be gorgeous.
Yeah, it's actually quite an important document in its own right, you know, and a bit like the letter, I know that. I suppose there are millions of them, but to be in this house where they, you know, grew up and lived and all the rest of it, well, it should be kept here, really. Yeah. The stern old aunt here, well, she...
Is it Emily?
That's Aunt Harriet.
Oh, Harriet.
Emily was the next. This was the aunt that came and looked after the boys.
Oh, yeah. No nonsense.
No nonsense there. You can see that. And so she had them build a billiard room out the back there, so that the boys wouldn't go to Talbot and mix with the riffraff. That was a functioning mine, a proper mine over there across the.
Oh, I can see some tailings.
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
That was the Tara Hall, and it worked and tunnelled, hundreds of metres over here. I know a bit about it. So those trees have grown since it finished, and it finished in about 1875 or thereabouts.
Yeah.
So those trees are 150 years old.
And this big one here, Chris thinks is about 450 years old.
Well, you come and stand alongside it. You don't appreciate the size until you get to alongside it.
Yeah.
When you stand alongside it, you'll
Wow,
appreciate
yeah,
the
look at
size
it.
of the bloody thing.
Yeah, look at it. I can imagine young Robert and Philip climbing up there with a rope.
If you measure the girth and apply the formula, you get 450 years. There's another one, Terry, just over the back of the house there.
Ah, yeah.
Not that one, but the one to its right. Phyllis called that the kitchen tree, and the governess used to take them down, and they used to have little morning teas and that. It's got a bit of a hollow in it.
Yeah, right.
And she described to me the governess walking through the trees going down to the creek.
Yeah.
She could remember that, and she could remember walking up through the daisies on the hill with the governess.